All right, let's dive into a story, a really powerful parable, actually. It's all about power, the shadow of envy, and what happens when raw ambition decides it's going to take the throne of a god. So just picture this, a universe where all the old gods, the old idols, are just shattered. And into this total emptiness walks a man who's forgotten how to cry. Why? Because his entire life has been about one thing and one thing only: will. He's this incredible force of nature, but you gotta remember, he's also deeply human, and he's driven by a massive, powerful resentment. So you have to ask, right? Where does a guy like this come from? Well, it turns out his whole identity, all that burning ambition, it was all forged in the shadow of someone else. Yeah, it all comes down to a rivalry that basically created him. And this is the heart of it, right here. You've got the golden shepherd, this being who is just effortlessly strong, basically a god. And then you have our guy. He's a genius, no doubt about it. But next to this son of a person, his own genius feels like a tiny flickering candle about to go out. And that's his whole life, just loathing this hero. And then, boom, a door opens. The tyrant who used to rule this whole desolate place, he's dead. And that means there is an empty throne. Now, for a man who has nothing but will, a power vacuum like that is just not acceptable. It's more than an opportunity. It's like a personal insult to the very idea of power. And he knows this is his chance. So, how does he grab this moment? Is it faith? Destiny? Nope. It's cold, hard logic. And what follows is, well, it's an absolutely incredible and frankly terrifying transformation. You see, the people who live in this broken world, they aren't looking for a savior. They want a solution. So they offer him the Omega. And what is that? Think of it like the raw, chaotic source code of the entire universe. It's the very energy of entropy, the ultimate power. And it's right there, his for the taking. And this is what's so fascinating about his mindset. He doesn't pray for this power. He doesn't hope for it. He treats it like a math problem, a 4-step formula. Step 1, identify the vacuum. 2, calculate the power needed. 3, demand conquest. And 4, and this is the big one, overcome the human. See, this was never a gift. It was a conquest of the universe and of his own soul. And right there, in that moment of realization, the change is complete. He's not a man of flesh and blood anymore. He's something else, just a pure vessel for his ambition. The human part of him, gone, overcome. Yeah, the cost was his soul, but hey, the prize was a throne. Okay, so he's on the throne of fire, he's a god, but his reign is different. It's totally unlike anything that came before. It's not about raw power or brute force. No, his entire rule is built on a foundation of deep, cutting, sneering irony. I mean, his very first act as a god is just staggering. He takes the symbol of his greatest enemy, the Metropolis champion, the Golden Shepherd, the guy he's hated his entire life, and he carves it right onto his armor. You've got to be asking, why? Why on earth would he do that? And there's his chilling answer. For him, ultimate victory isn't about beating your enemy. It's about stealing their symbol, wearing their ideals like a costume. It's just this incredible act of intellectual contempt. He's not just in charge, he's actively mocking the entire concept of goodness. And get this, his subjects were actually more scared of him than the old tyrant, and not because he was physically stronger. No, it's because he was logical. He took all the screaming chaos of their world and just organized it with the cold, terrifying precision of a math equation. He literally measured their agony in formulas. They weren't kneeling to his strength, they were kneeling to his terrifying intellect. So, there he is, on top of everything, the apex of all creation, absolute power in his hands. But there was still one thing he couldn't conquer. A ghost, you could say, haunting the gears of his new god machine. And who was that ghost? Well, of course, it was himself, the man he used to be. I mean, here he is, crushing suns, unmaking entire galaxies, and he can still feel that phantom itch of his old inferiority, that deep down feeling of being less than. Turns out, no amount of cosmic power can ever truly erase that. And this really gets to the inescapable trap he's in. He reached the absolute height, right? The power of a whole universe.
But at the same time, he's stuck in the absolute depth with the same jealous heart of a mortal man. And that's the paradox of his whole existence. He's an all-powerful god who was still fundamentally just a reaction to someone else.
So it all boils down to this, doesn't it? The number one. The one man he could never truly beat. The one person whose memory still haunted and defined him. The Golden Shepherd. The one who was a god, without needing a throne, whose power was just natural. And that was the one victory Argive could never, ever have.
So where does that leave us? What's the final lesson in this tragic cosmic victory of his? Well, it's something really profound about the nature of power itself. And here's the ultimate brutal irony of it all. In his quest to be totally free, to control everything and escape that feeling of being less than, what did he do? He built the perfect prison. A prison that spans the entire cosmos, sure, but it was built to the exact dimensions of his own ego. And he's the only inmate. And that really leaves us with a question to chew on, doesn't it? Can true power ever really be built on a foundation of envy? If your whole drive comes from resentment, from defining yourself against somebody else, is the power you get even really yours? Or are you just building a bigger, fancier cage for yourself?
And that's the haunting final thought of the parable. Right there. Intellect can get you the throne of a god, but it can't silence that whispering ghost of the man who felt less than. He got everything he ever willed into existence, but in the end, he could never escape himself.